Cool. And as I was saying yesterday, okay, uh, this Saturday we'll have a session, and on first Sunday I'll confirm you by max by Friday. Max, that's a maximum time. 9-10% we'll have it, but the other two scenarios we might have not have it. Okay, so the percentage is very less, but yep, I'll give you a confirmation by Friday. Friday Indian Standard Time.
Okay.
Good. So we waited for a grace period without wasting much of the time. Let's quickly start our session. So a quick recap of what we have discussed yesterday. Yesterday, if you guys remember, we were discussing about the standalone mode, and I was trying to explain you about the different important tags we have inside the standalone.xml file, or standalone-full.xml file, or standalone-full-ha.xml file, or the other XML files. So I was trying to talk about all of them. And if you see here, as part of that, okay, I discussed about the tag called as an extension. I discussed about the tag called as an realms. I discussed about the what is meant by management user and application user, and how we can create them and assign the roles, okay, the significance of management user and application user. Then we talked about the interfaces. Then we talked about the socket binding group, okay, and as part of this interfaces, we talked about what is the significance of the interface called as in management interface, public interface, or native CLI. Apart from that, okay, we also talked about the socket binding group, okay, which is a key for us to do the port port number related changes, okay. And I said that the three important port numbers you have to remember at any cost. The first one was, okay, the HTTP port number, which is 8080, and HTTPS port number was 8443. Then we talked about the CLI port, which is 9999, okay, and we also talked about the management HTTP port number, which is 9990, and the management secured HTTPS port number was the 9443. So I also said that inside the socket binding group, if you want, you can change the individual port numbers, or if you use the port offset value, automatically the port numbers, okay, all the port numbers get incremented or decremented depending upon the value you have given. And we also understood, or we also discussed yesterday that, okay, without changing the values in the configuration file, I want to update my management address or my public interface or my port numbers. How I can do all of them? Okay, we discussed about the command line argument called as in -d. -d, and depending upon the parameter you are trying to give, corresponding values will be affected only till that particular session. But if you make any changes in the XML file, okay, all the changes are permanent. But if you are trying to give anything as a command line argument, that would be getting reflected only till that particular session when the server is available, up and running. Clear?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone? Any questions?
I've got one question. Like, if we are logging through, I mean, if the user logs the SSO logins to an application or anything, can you discuss that? Like, how to set the securities? Like,
SSO security?
yeah, for the application.
I didn't get the security question. Can you repeat it, please?
I mean, when we normally in the corporate, when we log into any site or when we try to access any, web page, the user will be in the it should be in the right LDAP group to access those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for JBoss, how do we configure, like, do you know?
How do we configure the security?
Yeah.
That we'll talk a little later.
Okay.
Other than that, anyone, any questions? Okay. So if no question, I'll assume everything is clear. Okay. And if you observe, before I started the moment I install the JBoss application server, okay, we'll have a configuration folder, we'll have a deployment folder, we'll have a lib folder. The other folders, I haven't created it. Okay. The moment I started my instance, the other three folders got created automatically. Clear? What we are trying to discuss? We are trying to discuss about, okay, the new folders that gets created after we start the standalone instance. Before we start the standalone instance, okay, the moment I go inside the standalone folder, I see the configuration folder, I see the deployments folder, and I see only the lib folder. But the moment the server instance is started, the moment the standalone instance is started, I see that there is the data folder, there is an log folder, and there is a temp folder that gets created automatically. If you see the temp folder, as the name itself indicates, this is a folder that contains the temporary information that is getting created as part of your server start. Because if your server, it's also a process. When I'm saying it's a process, something needs to be there inside that particular process to start that. Clear? When I'm trying
If
to
you
go,
want to, specify the log location somewhere, like application logs or something like that, like, is there any way we give the path?
sorry?
If we want to change the path for the log location, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the default one, what we got here under the standalone logs, can we change the log locations, for example, server log or start log or something
Yep,
like
we can
that?
do that.
'Cause,
That one I'll be discussing mostly on Thursday or Friday.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
Cool. Because once you're done talking about the basics of standalone and domain mode, okay, then whatever
Mhm.
the concept I'm trying to talk about, it remains the same either for the domain mode or a standalone mode. So since the market wants more of the domain mode concepts, okay, so whatever the concept later I discuss, okay, I'll try to show
Mhm.
you the lab on the domain mode so that the same thing you can interpret or you can see it in the standalone mode.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Cool. So if you see here, we are trying to discuss about the TMP folder or the temp folder. This is a folder that gets created by default, okay, the moment you start your server. Whatever the temporary information that the JBoss generates, okay, as part of the application, as part of the server getting started up, or as part of the application executes, okay, all that information you will have it under the temp folder. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So as part of your application restart, I'm sorry, as part of your server restart, okay, at any point of the time you can comfortably delete the contents inside the temp folder. The next one we have is a log folder. If you see the log folder, okay, the log folder contains a log file called as an server.log file. Clear? What does the log folder contain? The log folder contains the server.log file. If you try to, if you want at any point of the time, if you want to understand how your server got started, okay, and what are the different parameters that are getting created as part of your server start, okay, and if there is any application on this particular server instance, okay, how that is getting started up. If you want to get the complete info about how the server is getting started, what are the parameters it picked up, you can get that complete info under the server.log. The whenever your JBoss instance is getting started, either it is operating in a domain mode or in a standalone mode, the log file you can refer is the server.log file. Mark my words.
Okay,
The moment
so
you say
all the
standalone.sh and the moment the server gets started, the JVM related log file, okay, is server.log file. It might be a domain mode, it might be a standalone mode. But whenever you want to know how your JVM, how your server instance is getting started up, okay, and what is the, in case if I'm trying to run into an error whenever I deploy an application, that info and how your server behavior is there at any point of the time, if you want to get that info, you can comfortably refer to the server.log file. Sorry, someone had a question?
so you'll have all the startup and store shutdown of the instance and everything in just one server.log.
Yes, in one server.log file. And not only
And
that, if you have any applications deployed on this instance,
uh-huh.
okay, how the application loading is happening up, and as part of your application execution, if something is going wrong, all that info related to the JVM and the contents present on top of that particular JVM, the info related to that, the loading related to that will be present under the server.log file.
Okay, so including the trace logs or anything as well. So.
uh, Depending upon what is the debug level you have kept, according to that the trace level will be varied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So if you want, you can delete it. Generally what people do is that, okay, generally they try to do the log rotation of for every 3 months, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
depending upon the disk utilization you are trying to get, they might put it for the longer amount of the time. Clear?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is about the temp folder and log folder. Data folder, it's important. Never and ever delete the contents inside the data folder, because this is a folder that contains all your execution related information of your JBoss.
What if it gets filled up and you want to move it or archive it?
Generally, the disk utilization alerts related to the JBoss, okay, are amounted, are caused because of your application deployments or either because of the log rotations. Generally what we try to do is that, okay, if you see here, okay, I don't have any dedicated file system for my JBoss.
Mm-hmm.
But what generally people do is that, especially if you're working with an high level banking customers, they generally try to have a separate file system, okay, or to your JBoss application, for your JBoss application server. The depending upon how your, what is the size of your attached mount point, okay, according to
Mm-hmm.
that, okay, the utilization will get affected. Still, if you see that there's a high utilization of the disk happening up to the JBoss, first concentrate on the log files which are older than 3 months, and
Mm-hmm.
if still it doesn't resolve that issue, again try to see, okay, at least the log files older than 1 month, can you try to zip them? Point number one.
Yeah,
Point
I
number
mean
two.
the log files will be on the separate file system. Say, it's just
Yep.
about the data file system I'm talking about. I mean, so at some point it would fill up. I mean, unless you have an option of increasing the file system, that's a different scenario. But if there is no other way to concise this data file system at all.
Okay. So you're saying that, Shiva, assume that I have one file system for my JBoss, another file system for my logs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So log related file system have a scope to increase or decrease. That's a different story. But imagine that for the JBoss itself, the file system is getting filled up. What should I do now? Is that the
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
Cool. So to answer that question, okay, first of all, we have to understand what is a folder that is getting heavily utilized. Generally, if you see the JBoss contents, if you see inside the JBoss, okay, if you see the contents inside the JBoss, okay, these are the ones that are given to you by system. the contents that might eat up the space is the contents that are there inside your domain mode or the contents that are there inside your standalone mode. Inside the standalone mode also, if you see here, configuration folder remains the same. The contribution of the excuse me, yeah, sorry, the contribution of the configuration folder to the disk utilization is very minimal because only XML files are there. The only contributor would be the deployments, assuming that the log related info, you're keeping it in a separate file system. Assuming that scenario, the only contributor would be your deployments folder, which contains a list of var or er files. So you have to see which are the things that can be archived, which are the things that can be kept. If nothing can be archived, nothing can be deleted, or nothing can be done, the only option is to increase the size of the file system.
Okay.
Clear?
What is the recommended file system for JBoss?
JBoss doesn't keep any restriction because that's again demanded by your application. Okay.
Okay, at least the
We are
minimum
trying to talk about
is
the JBoss. The moment you try to install the JBoss, how much is the file system's size I need to have? If you have 2 GB or 3 GB, that's more than enough. Okay. But beyond that, how much size I need for my application, that should be decided by your capacity planning team or the architect team. Clear?
okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone, any more questions? Venu, Krishna?
No.
How about you, Venu? You have any questions for me? Okay. Silence, I'll assume no questions from anyone. So let me continue. So in the standalone mode, we talked about what are the different configuration files we have got. Okay, we talked about the welcome content, how we can enable or disable it. We discussed about how do we start a standalone instance, okay, either using a default profile or an HA profile or full -HA profile or HA or a full profile, okay, and how do we start it. We discussed about that. We also discussed about the different configuration files or the different configuration folders we have inside the standalone mode. The next important concept we have is the admin console and the deployments. But before we start off that, okay, I have a question. I want to start a standalone instance using an full -HA profile. How I can do that? Am I clear with my question? I want to start a standalone instance and I don't want to load any default profile. I don't want to load any HA profile. I don't want to use any full profile. I want the capability of a clustering and high availability along with some messaging functionality. Which one I have to use and how I can invoke the standalone to start in that particular mode. Anyone?
The only way I could think of is like while starting up the instance, you exclusively give the profile to start up. Other than
Profile
that,
have to use. Which profile have to use?
the full HA.
Default.
Sorry?
No, the full HA because you need default plus clustering plus messaging, isn't it?
Okay. And how do I use that?
Using the modules you that for what is that file in library?
No.
That
Simple. I want to start my standalone instance, and I want to have the standalone, the capability of the messaging or the clustering. Sorry. Yeah, so I want this standalone instance to have the capability of both clustering and messaging. And as rightly said by you people, we have to use the full -HA profile. But how do I use that?
While starting up the instance, you have an option, right? -D or
Oh,
something like that,
no,
and
not
specify the
-D.
path. I don't remember the
Mm.
exact option. But
Yeah, -D, whatever the default thing you wanted to start.
No, no, no.
I think that is different.
Yep.
Actually, yesterday I did not upload the class. We did not go through it.
Oh, okay. Let me just check with Vasu. What's the
Uh,
challenge? Okay, and I'll get back to you people.
okay, okay.
But this is how we have to do it. -C, the name of the
See.
profile. You guys
Okay.
remember yesterday we talked about it?
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, and if I don't give any -C, by default it will pick up the
If
standalone.xml file. If you don't want the standalone.xml file, if you want to have your own, if you want to have other profile to get picked up, for example your standalone-full.xml file, then you have to say -C standalone.xml file. Clear?
So Shiva, you have said like we can do the clustering with this, but it's a standalone, right? How can we do clustering with this?
As I said, okay, it's not 100% clustering. I said we can do the load balancing. Clustering
Okay.
to some clustering one of the capability, one of the feature of clustering is the load balancing. So as part of the standalone instance, we can achieve that. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that little later. Okay, probably tomorrow
Okay.
or somewhere around. Yeah, probably tomorrow mostly. I think. Clear? But till here, anyone any questions?
no, no.
Cool. I have a problem. The problem here is that okay. Whenever I'm trying to start the standalone instance, okay, and when I'm trying to access my management console to do some deployment, to do some configuration, I'm not able to access it. It's saying that unidentified network address. What should I do now? Am I clear with my question? What I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to start a standalone instance. The moment I started the standalone instance, I access the management console. I'm not able to access the management console. When I was trying to do the troubleshooting, I realized that in one of the log file, I see that okay, it's saying that unidentified network address. So what should I do now?
First of all, you need to check that port is open or not.
Port is 100% open. Network point of
Is
view,
there
no
any?
problem. I do a telnet, I do a ping, I get a response. I do a trace route and I see that packets are going to the corresponding instance.
So that means the firewalls and everything is open as well.
Awesome. My company is such a beautiful company that it doesn't put any restrictions. Say that okay, do whatever you want. You want to take out something from the company, take out. I don't have any problem. Such beautiful is my company. Still, I'm not able to access the admin console. They enabled the firewall. They opened the port numbers. I can do a telnet. And in fact, I have a flexibility to change the firewall rules also. So I checked
Hmm.
and I seen that traceroute is working, okay, and everything is working awesome. Still, I'm not able to access the admin console.
Did you edit the index.html XML index?
Index.html also I edited as per my company's requirement.
And
What file
Any
you
of
need to
you?
edit the index.html?
He's saying that did you had a chance to edit the index.html? I said, yep, I edited it and it's working awesomely. Because when
No,
I'm
I
doing
mean,
an
no. I
You
don't
can
know what.
disable the admin console using index.html.
Okay.
okay, the problem here is that I don't want to disable it. I want to access an management console.
Enable it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no need for me to touch the index.html.
Yeah. What is the reason?
Any one of you had
Is
a chance to
there
work
an
as a teacher? In your school list, we have this Teachers' Day. Okay. Any one of
Hmm.
you had a chance to work as a teacher during those days? Believe it or not, we in our school, we used to, any student studying in 8th class and above, they had a flexibility to become a student teacher on that day. And every year I used to nominate. You know the reason why? Because
Hello.
on other 364 days, my teacher used to ask me a question and I used to be silent. Only on that day, I had a flexibility that I can stand, I can ask damn stupid questions and everyone used to be silent. I really used to enjoy that scenario. Okay. Don't think too much why I'm giving that example right now. I'm
Okay.
sure you all must have by now caught it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anyway, the answer to this question is very simple. Okay, if you want to access the management console, okay, you need to have the management IP defined. By default, in your standalone.xml file or a full -ha.xml file or the ha.xml file, by default, it will be binded to 127.0.0.1.
Yeah.
Correct or not? So you have to
Yes.
change it to the system IP. Correct or not?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking someone will think about that.
I
Because even
I
if I
thought
open
we already
IP,
modified that, and is there any other security setting you
I
wanted
didn't
to
told
change?
that I modified that. Unless no
But we
one also
modified
asked me.
it yesterday itself.
Yesterday I didn't set up an environment in my company. Today in the morning only I set up an environment. Okay. Okay. Today in the morning at 7:30 a.m. I did this setup. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
JBoss.
Yeah. JBoss. Okay. Yeah. JBoss. EAP 6.2. I did a setup in my company today in the
Red
morning at
Hat.
7:30 a.m. and Indian Standard Time, 7:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. I'm trying to access a management console. I'm not able to access it.
Okay.
Okay. Now I hope the question is as much elaborate as possible.
Yours is a Red Hat version?
Okay. So you are asking me some question.
Yeah, yours is a Red Hat version.
You
License.
can
You
get the
have a Red.
complete information here. Okay.
Okay.
So this is my system, my kernel information as well as my operating system info.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you have the license for it?
No, no, no. It's a AWS instance.
Okay, okay, fine.
Come on. For training itself, I start buying the Red Hat Linux. My at least 3 to 4 years of training amount is also not sufficient to get the JBoss license
Yeah,
and the Red Hat license copy.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
A lot of people won't use the Red Hat JBoss systems, right?
No, no.
Everybody
Nowadays,
will.
most of them are using it. It's not like the previously,
Mm,
where
yeah.
people were using the community edition. Now, most of the companies use the enterprise copy because that's a lot cheaper when compared to your commercial application service. Is what is the
Oh,
thought process they have.
okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool, cool. So, anyone, any questions?
No, no.
Manju, Satish, Vinu, all are clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All clear. Cool. So the reason I keep on sometimes get crazy and ask this question is to ensure that my concept which I'm trying to ask, okay, isn't getting confused or isn't clear. If it's something is not clear, as I keep on saying, you're paying me the money and most importantly, the time. Okay.
Okay.
So anything and everything that is not clear, ask me up. Don't feel any
Oh,
hesitancy.
Okay.
Is something
And
you're not
share
able to
the
get from me?
material.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do it. As I said, today or today in the morning or today end of the day, I'll share it to you.
Yeah, fine, fine.
Okay, so this is about the configuration folder, data folder we have. Okay, and the next important thing for us is the GUI tool called as an admin console. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me see if I can access the admin console. The problem here is that the security group. Okay, let me do one thing. You know why to take this much pain? I'll do the installation from my local. The problem here is that, as I said yesterday, the security group, okay, which is a firewall inside the JBoss application server, okay, there is a restriction because of my another training requirement of my AWS, okay, I have restricted the network or the security group. And because of that, what is happening right now is that I'm not allowed to go outside the that particular firewall restriction. So that's the reason I'm not able to access the admin console. So to overcome that particular challenge, what I'm trying to do is that, okay, to show you how your admin console looks like, okay, I'm trying to do an installation on a Windows machine, be it with the Windows installation, be it with the Windows installation or be it with the Linux installation, the admin console will remain the same for your standalone environment. Okay.
Okay.
Remember the password, it's admin@123.
So you won't use the 7 version, 7.1 and all this.
7 EAP, I don't have it.
Okay. No, but this open source is there, right? Not Red Hat one.
Yep, but
That
open
I'll
source
be
7 is
sharing.
nothing but, yeah, open source 7 is nothing but, okay, it's a enterprise 6.x. Open source 7.x is nothing but, okay, enterprise copy 6.x. So hardly any features difference is there, except from the
Okay.
packaging point of view.
Hmm.
In that, the folder structure, name of the structure,
Okay.
folder structure.
Okay.
Didn't you got the software?
Of yours EAP,
Yep.
I've got it.
Cool. See here, my server is getting started.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one question related to the server startup. Don't mind if I'm asking you a couple of questions. It
No.
just will help you to understand uh, to what extent, because theory I can go through, I can simply say this is how we do the deployment, this is how we start the server. But these are the questions that will help you to improve your knowledge a little bit more. So if you see
Yeah.
here at the end of the log file, I see this one. And the most importantly is that I see
129 of
this line. What
186
exactly is
services.
meant by that line? Anyone can make a
129
guess?
are active and the 56 services are passive.
What does that mean to say? I didn't get why it's coming as passive, or what exactly is meant by passive. That means that these are something which I can't access it.
Or back end running.
No, I don't think so.
Mm,
Maybe because like the default, you have started it with the default profile. If you're using another profile or something like that related to those services, it will start up.
No. And if you see
Uh,
this number varies from the profile I'm trying to pick up. If you see here, I picked up the uh,
Default.
default profile. Let's say that I'm picking up full profile.
yeah. Is that we have edited right the defaults yesterday? What I that yesterday did not upload the class. I'm not getting people.
No, no, nothing
We
related to that.
added we
Nothing related
added
to
few services, right? We added few services, right? Yesterday in a file.
that. No, nothing related to that.
Mm,
See here, now the number is 150 out of 215. Initially it is
yeah,
around 125.
125, 126, I think. 129.
Yeah,
Any other
129 out of.
remote communications or anything else like JMS properties or something like talking to different other components or something services related to those, because you're not using any of those, they are like not active maybe.
I didn't get that active, not active, or passive. I'm not able to get that terminology. What exactly is meant by that?
I guess by default you'll have all the services what you need for the current one to for the instance to start up or
Hmm.
cater your needs, and some services which are like exclusively you need to specify, like, or when you are using them then uh, sort of on demand they'll be used or started up or becomes active.
Perfect. If you see the application servers like WebLogic, there we have something called as an on-demand deployment. In WebSphere also, after the WebLogic has introduced this functionality, in WebSphere also we have this on-demand functionality. What exactly is meant by that is nothing but, okay, the moment you start a particular server, okay, and let's say in that 100 services, 100 capabilities are there, okay, not all 100 capabilities gets activated at the same time, okay. The minimal things that are needed for the server to get started up, only that one will be active. The moment you start the server, let's say that you're accessing an admin console, the admin console related property or a service gets activated. You're trying to use a transaction management, so the configuration related to that will get activated. You're trying to use an messaging functionality. The service related to that will then be activated. So depending upon the service you're trying to invoke, according to that, the service gets activated. A simple real-time scenario. Let's say that we are, for the first time, because let's say that after you're done with your plus two, we are going to the engineering. When you are going to the engineering, okay, everyone goes with some set of thinking and set of reasons. So let's say that for people like me, okay, even though I'm born and brought up in the co-ed education system, okay, still the moment we enter inside the engineering, we have many aspirations. So the moment someone comes and talks to us, we'll not say, hey, hi, how are you doing? It's been a long time I didn't met you. Let's go for a lunch. We don't say that. We say, yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes. Okay, correct. We try to restrict ourselves to a minimal words. But as the time goes and goes, we try to expose most of our habits or most of the part of our behavior, we expose it. But for the first time, when someone comes, a beautiful lady coming and talking to me, okay, I try to be as decent as possible. Okay, I don't try to expose myself to the 100%. But as the time of the relationship goes, okay, people will have a chance to see maximum of my behavior, maximum things I do, maximum behavior skills I got. Everyone will be seeing that. Similarly, the moment you try to start a server, not 100% capabilities will be activated. Only restricted one or the minimal one or the mandatory one only will be, those services only will be activated. For example, if you see a messaging, messaging is not needed on the day one itself. Okay, if you need, whenever you are trying to create a JMS service, only in those scenarios it gets activated. That is nothing but the concept of on-demand deployment. This same feature is also implemented in the JBoss application server. That's the reason the moment you start your JBoss, only 129 of 186 services only get started up. The remaining service, okay, will not be activated. The remaining 56 services will not be activated. They'll be activated only the moment you try to configure them and use them. Clear? Clear?
Yeah,
Not clear?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Very important from
yeah,
the
yeah.
interview point of view.
Yeah.
How many why what is meant by this passive? And second question generally I hear is that, okay, how do we speed up the performance of a JBoss? JBoss, everyone agrees after the Tomcat, the fastest server is a JBoss. But how do I increase more the ability to start it up in a quicker amount of the time? How do I try to decrease the time interval? There is a concept called as a micro container, not needed for you people, just for information. There's a concept called as a micro container configuration. Depending upon how you tailor it as per your requirement, the speed of the starting of the JBoss will be impacted. Okay, don't think much. This is just for the interview point of view.
What
so
is a
it
micro
something
container?
Sorry, someone had a question. One by one, please.
Micro container, about a micro container.
So micro
That we
container is
don't
not.
do.
Sorry, frankly speaking, we don't discuss much about that because that's a little bit more complicated topic. Okay, so I don't want to bore you all people with that one. Okay, but if you see here, if you want to explore that, okay, I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Rather than doing it in this way, let me do it in this way.
Is it something similar to the standalone containers of Tomcat?
Yep. Okay. Exactly similar to that. I think I have to get into the debug mode to show you that.
Okay.
When you're trying to talk about the logging, just give me a reminder at that time. I'll show you the micro container related properties. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Someone also had a question. I'm really sorry. No questions from anyone?
A lot of them are using Tomcat or a JBoss nowadays.
Okay.
50-50.
Krishna, do you go for a shopping? Where do you stay?
Bangalore.
Okay, cool. Someone is laughing. That means they don't like my examples, or it's not.
No, I mean,
that.
it's about using any application server. It depends upon your company requirements and stuff like that.
But
let me answer in that. I'll take an example.
Migrating to JBoss, it seems.
Yeah, if you see here, any one of you heard about the Gartner Summit, Gartner conferences, Gartner portal?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to know which is a trending application server or which is the application server that is occupying the market heavily, that is a forum where you can get the maximum information.
Okay.
Frankly speaking, at least till 4 years back or 5 years back, okay, there used to be a tough competition between WebLogic and WebSphere. Now it's a JBoss, I can say that it's budding up or slowly started occupying the market. And in another 1 year, they will not have any server called as a WebLogic or a WebSphere or a Tomcat or a JBoss. I think 2 to 3 years is the time I'm expecting. Everything comes up as a serverless architecture.
But Shiva, like when compared to security and all, like, WebSphere is much more versatile and, it's, if you take the scripts and all or whatever it is, it's like highly secure. But when you come to JBoss, it's like, it depends upon how much capability you have to explore it or you want to develop it or use it. But if a normal guy tries to install like and do the I mean I don't think it's so much secure or something like that. I don't know.
Let me give 3 examples to answer your question. Example number 1, since most of you are from US or at least a couple of you have been to US, okay, there is a New York Stock Exchange. How we have a national stock exchange in India, we have a NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, okay. The New York Stock Exchange market, okay, is based on JBoss application server.
Okay.
Okay, I hope that answers the questions related to the security. Okay, second question. WebSphere is stronger compared to the other servers. Frankly speaking, WebSphere uses an XOR algorithm which is very weak compared to the WebLogic 3DS algorithm. JBoss security is as rightly said by you, the more you explore, the better security standards you will have. But if you see the WebLogic, okay, WebLogic server is the leader in the security, I can say, when compared to the WebSphere. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and what was the other point? I'm very sorry, I forgot about the other point.
After 2 years, you won't have any your
I
serverless
didn't say you will
architecture.
not have it. I said that
Yes.
you might not have an server architecture.
Okay.
Okay,
What
and the
you'll have? Which
any one of
kind
you
of
heard about the technologies like Cognos,
Yes.
data
cognitive?
warehousing?
Yeah.
Okay, currently what we do is that let's say if I want to do some reporting related stuff, I install a Cognos, which is an IBM product, or I try to go with another BI tool, okay, and I try to install them. On top of that, I have my application. Using that, I do a report generation. But with the cloud people, okay, with the tough competition going around with the cloud people, especially the AWS has introduced an functionality, okay, wherein which, okay, there's no need for you to worry about how do we install the Cognos, how do we install the reporting engine, everything, okay. It's pay as per use, okay. A server will be there. There's no need for your company to think about how to install that server, how do we maintain the server. You use it for 1 hour or 2 hours. Once your work is done, give it back, okay. Pay as per use. So your companies, there's no need to worry about how do we have a server architecture. Everything could be a serverless architecture, and this operation we can trigger it based upon some time frame, based upon some condition, based upon some flag.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yep. Sorry, we're getting a little bit deviated outside our subject. Okay.
okay.
Uh, Other than that, anyone any questions?
No.
Cool. So if you don't have any questions, let's come back to our deployments. Or first, let me show you how does your GUI tool called as an admin console will look like. I wanted did the pausing of my screen sharing.
Okay.
Give me a minute so that I can close my other browsers. Everyone able to see my screen?
Mhm.
Guys, everyone able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the application interface I have got. Okay, this is my public interface I have got.
Mm.
Okay, on the other day, I think day before yesterday, I was trying to talk about the public interface. Okay, and if you see here, the IP, I'm trying to use the local host because my JBoss is installed on my local machine. So if I don't know how to access an admin console, comfortably I can click here and I can go to my admin console. Okay, it requires a username and password. We'll talk about that little later. Cool. So this is my public interface, and from the security standards, as I keep on saying, okay, from the server JBoss hardening point of view, this should not be allowed for an access. Okay, cool. So coming back to the next one, which is my admin console, either you can access it from the HTTP interface or your public interface, or what you can do is, okay, you can directly access it with this port and the console. Clear?
But we should not use this console, right, sir? For server hardening purpose.
Sorry,
We should not use the admin console, right, for this one.
which one?
If we once enter the username and password for this admin console,
Hmm. You want me
okay?
to enter the username and password?
Yeah, yeah. And, actually, this is what I got. Actually, I'm not getting the the previous console. Why is that?
Did you use the uh, save password thing, for example?
Once I start the standalone mode. It is directly, it is giving the authentication one. Localhost console app.html.
That is automatically coming up, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or is that the moment you give, it is coming?
Once I start the JBoss server, then when I enter the URL localhost 99990, direct this console I'm getting, not the previous console which you got it, right? That is what the basic console, where you have admin console and some configurations.
What is the port
You
number
have
you have given?
9990.
And did you have a chance to check in your configuration file whether the admin console port number is 9990 or what?
Yeah, I did not have that. Yeah.
And just check that, okay?
Yeah.
The public interface, okay, you'll get, okay, is because, okay, of the port number you're trying to give, okay? And frankly speaking,
Yeah.
for the other service, okay, there's, I'm going to say for the public interface, there's no need for you to give a context path. But for the admin console, you need to give a context path console mandatory. And the port number should be the management console HTTP port number.
Yeah.
If any other application is accessing this JBoss, like needs to access, then the IP address and which port number needs to be specified for that?
I didn't get you. Can you come again, please?
If any other application wants to access JBoss directly instead of logging into the web browsers or something like that, if an application wants to access JBoss, what what port number do we give there? Is it the public interface?
If some application wants to access the JBoss, okay, I'm trying to paraphrase the question. If some application needs to access the JBoss application server, what is the port number I have to give? Is that the question? Okay. So to answer that question, okay, the port number you have to give is the HTTP port number, because when you're saying that your other applications are accessing the JBoss, okay, they will be accessed, okay. The scenarios are that it is either it's the application that you're trying to deploy on top of the JBoss application server, or it might be an web service URL request. In both of the scenarios, you have to use the HTTP port number. Clear?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
This is how your GUI looks like in case of a JBoss application server EAP6.2. Okay, everyone able to see the screen? Everyone remembers? Just take a snapshot of it in your brain. Everyone able to? Once you are done, let me know. I want to show you how the screen looks like for a 6.4.
Okay.
Everyone done?
Yeah, done.
Cool. So give me 1 minute. I'm trying to install the JBoss for JBoss 6.4. Give me a minute. Before that, I have to uninstall program files. Where is this JBoss present? Give me a minute, guys. I'm just trying to uninstall the existing one, then install the other one.
Okay.
Cool. It's done. Let me install it. Give me a minute, guys. There's some problem with my system. So I'm just trying to remove that. While trying to do the installation, anyone remember what is the path I've given for my existing JBoss?
/ opt eap hyphen 6
Not
console.
on the Linux, on the Windows.
Okay.
C program file C ap6.2. C program files. Yep. Good. Question is answered. Cool. So let me remember this path before I forget. Okay. Okay. Admin @123 @123. There's a problem with my generally forget the things. Okay. Okay. Start the server in the standalone mode. I hope everyone is clear. So that's the reason I'm running little fast. Okay. If something is not clear, please do let me know. The concept, the installation, the options we get remains the same. Either it's a 6.2 or a 6.4. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
If someone isn't clear, please pause me up immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assuming that you're all comfortable, that's the reason I had done very fast. Okay. But something is not clear, please, you have a right to pause me up immediately. Give me 2 minutes. It's getting started up. Modules is getting installed. Why it's very slow? Cool. Oh, it's a port conflict issue. Address is already in use. Done. So I'm getting an port conflict issue or address already in use. So I'm trying to change the port offset. I'm trying to do a port offset.
Okay.
I'll try to put it to minus, no, 2 I'll keep it because those are the ports are used by me. Cool. Oh, console. Not triple line 0, it's triple line 1. Correct only, no? The port offset have given it as 1 only.
Yeah.
No, 2.
2.
I've given the port offset as 2. So all the port numbers would be incremented by a value of 2. Guess you're understanding what I'm trying to do here?
Yeah.
Or is something like an Tamil cinema
Yes.
shown to a hardcore Telugu
Yes.
people?
No, it's clear.
Clear?
Yeah.
Krishna, Satish, Venu,
Yeah. Yeah.
Satish and Venu? Cool. Venu, you are also clear? Cool. Nothing we have did. Okay, I did the installation of the JBoss EAP 6.4, like how we do it for 6.2. Then what I did is that I observed that since there is an already running instance of EAP 6.2, so what are the port numbers that are there, the default port numbers that are used by them. Now when I'm trying to run the same instance again on this default port numbers, it's throwing me an error saying that it did check the port numbers. So what I did is that rather than changing each and every individual port numbers, I want to change all the port numbers. So I mentioned the port offset as 2 so that all the port numbers, new port numbers would be picked up.
Yes, sir.
Clear? Now after I pick up, if you see here, the difference from the GUI point of view between your EAP 6.2 and 6.4. See here? Clear?
Yeah.
Everyone able to see the difference? In the home page, we have something called as a home page. Okay, here we don't have a home page. This home page, what it will help you is this is like a document page. Okay, help manual. To be more specific, help manual. This will tell you and how do we do the deployments. Okay, what's the process for that? How we can create a data source? How we can assign a user roles? How we can apply the patch? Okay, that info will be given to you. Clear?
Clear.
And if you want to do a deployment, you have to go to the deployments tab. If you want to do any configuration related maintenance, click on that. If you want to do some administration, you have to click on that. Clear?
Clear.
Any questions? Here it's not like that. Okay, Here you get only 3 tabs: profile to know the profile related properties, runtime, runtime related properties, administration, administration related properties. So from the features point of view, if you see here, there hardly any technical differences in the features of 6.2 and 6.4. The only difference you see is the more GUI oriented differences. The structure in which they are present, that's a difference. Clear?
Yeah.
And other difference, as I said during my demo, I'm not sure how many of you really remember that. Okay, in EAP 6.2 there's a bug. If I try to delete the server groups, okay, inside my EAP 6.2, okay, I cannot start the server in a domain mode. But in 6.4 that is corrected. Don't ask me what is meant by domain mode and the server group. I'll talk about it little later, probably on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So now you tell me which one you want me to continue working on, 6.2 or 6.4?
6.4.
How about others? Satish, Venu, Krishna?
Yeah, anything is fine.
Okay, cool. How about Venu? 6.2 or 6.4?
Yeah, but that what you only, yeah, I think, yeah, it is horizontally there, it is vertically.
Yep.
I don't know, but what I see as a GUI point of view, but I don't know what as a configuration.
Okay, cool. Let's do one thing. Since you all
Yeah.
are saying anything is fine and Satish I see as an offline, let's go with the majority of them and let's say 6.4 is the one which we'll continue working on, both on the
Yeah, yeah, the
Windows as well as
latest
on
one,
the, okay?
Linux. Yeah.
So let me stop here. Okay. Yep. So now I started my instance, okay, my standalone instance, and I want to see how many instances are there inside my standalone environment. How we can know how many number of instances that are there? Okay, you can get that information by simply executing a -ef grep, or you can get it here under the runtime. The name of the server is this one. The status of the server is this one. Version of the JBoss to which it is associated is here. So the number of servers, the minimum and the maximum number of servers per each and every standalone instance that is started is 1. Everyone able to see this?
Yeah.
Mark my words, okay? Whenever you are trying to start a server, when you are trying to start a JBoss in a standalone mode, the minimum and the maximum number of servers are 1.
One.
Okay, how you
Yeah.
can get that info? You can simply do a PS to get the process ID, or if you
Yeah.
haven't access to the JBoss application server admin console, click on that and go to the
Mm.
runtime option. There also you'll be seeing this info.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
Anyone, any questions?
No.
Okay.
So apart from that, okay, we also have the other platform related information. If you want to know, get the information about your platform, okay, your JVM, okay,
Yeah.
how it's getting utilized, okay, what is the minimum memory that is allocated, what is the maximum memory that is allocated, how is the utilization happening up, that performance related info you can get it here. You can click, it's not an
Mm.
auto refresh, so you have to click on refresh, okay, to refresh the results, okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to get the log related info, you can even get it in the log viewer, okay. Either you
Okay.
can view it or you can download it. If you click on view, okay, it will allow you to view the log file. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are related to the different subsystems. Don't ask me what is the meant by
Mm.
subsystem right now. I'll talk about it little later. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And the next one is the general configurations. When you go to the configuration tab where you can do all the configuration, there is an option called as an general configuration. Everyone able to see that?
Mm. Yeah.
There's something called as an interfaces, socket binding group, system properties, paths, and interfaces. Everyone able to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you see here, okay, and let's take the example of an management interface. So when I go to the management interface, if I click on edit, okay, whatever the edit you are trying to do as part of the XML file, the same edit you can do it here. Okay, for example, if your system IP is some 10.10.20.100, okay, replace that one with that particular value so that your management interface is even accessible outside the
Oh,
system also.
system also. Yeah.
Yep. Similarly, if you want to modify the properties related to the socket binding group. Sure, first of all, I don't know what are the property port numbers that are allocated. How do I modify that? Then expand it. Okay, you will have an info about the list of port numbers that are getting utilized. Okay, depending upon your requirement, you can edit it, remove it, modify it as per your convenience. Clear?
Yeah.
Shiva, not like that. I just want to view the properties. Okay. I don't want to change any of the other properties. I just want to view it. Then you can use this path variable. Okay. The moment, if you, let's say if you see here, the Java home, by default, my Java home is this one. C program files, ABC, GRE. Shiva, for this JBoss application server, when I went and talked to the Red Hat people, they gave me a fix and it said that it will work only in 1.8. Then what you have to do is that you have to install the 1.8 and edit the path of your JDK or the GRE here. Clear? You said that, Shiva, I got my JBoss home directory. The default value of the JBoss home directory is this one. I don't want to use this one. I want to use another path. Okay, my JBoss is present in another path. Edit it and restart it. Remember that whatever the changes you are trying to do under the configuration tab needs a restart. Clear, everyone? Or am I trying to overload you with much information?
Not clear.
No, no.
There's a little bit sounds to be very basic and silly, but still very, very important once you start working. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give one simple example, which will be anyway doing the lab related to that. Okay, as I said, my JBoss in a standalone mode supports a vertical scaling. How do we do the vertical scaling? Okay, in the same machine, I have to have multiple instances of the JBoss running. Of course, port offset is something which we have to definitely consider. But apart from the port offset, I need to have two JBoss home installation or standalone directories. How do I know that which is
Yeah.
the JBoss home that's getting picked up? You can get that info here and you can use this debug flag to modify that.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
I'll show you. I'll show you on how do we do that also. But please remember this option. It's not mandatory to remember all the options, but couple of options like okay, the config directory, the JBoss home directory, the Java home directory are mandatory. And apart from that, in the interfaces, okay, you have to remember the management interface, public interface, okay, and secure interface, the values to that. That is jboss.bind.address.management, jboss.bind.address.public, jboss.bind.address.unsecure. So that values you have to remember, because if you ask me as an interviewer, I don't prefer to ask these questions, but some crazy fellows are there asking you to give the how do we modify? Tell me the manage D flag. Okay, so for those people, you have to remember this.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions, anyone?
What is in the security tab?
Sorry. As of now, you'll have nothing inside that. Nothing will be there inside that.
We have
We
to
have to
Only
configure.
redefine.
Yes, we
Okay.
have to reconfigure that as per our requirement. How do we do? We have a slide called as an SSL certificate. That would be almost all during the our end of our discussions, probably somewhere in next Saturday or Friday. Probably we'll touch base on that.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But anyone, any questions still here? Silence, I'll assume no questions. So come back to our important topic, okay? Or anyone, any questions? Anyone wants me to go through the other tabs? Okay. Silence, I'll assume no questions. I have a question. Since you people don't have any question, I have a question. I don't have an access to the machine where the JBoss application server is installed. In the sense that I don't have an access to this putty machine. Everyone able to see this? I don't have an access to this putty machine because let's say I'm a developer or I'm an architect or I'm an some fellow, some third party fellow. Okay, so but I have an access to the JBoss admin console. Okay, I can access the JBoss application server admin console. My question here is that I have a performance issue. Okay, when I'm saying that I have a performance issue, I want to modify the heap memory arguments. I don't have an access to the JBoss application server installation machine, so I can't edit the configuration through that. Is there any other way I can do it? I don't need the exact parameter which you'll be modifying it. I need to know the high level where you'll be doing that.
It will be is there in runtime or something?
Okay, how about others? Krishna, Satish, Venu. Manju, where in runtime? Don't say it's a JVM because the reason is that, okay, this is the one that will pick up the information. It will not allow you to make the changes. So as per my knowledge, it's not the runtime.
So configuration.
Where in configuration? I remember asking you all people a question yesterday. I don't remember which question I asked, but I remember asking you all an question.
About
Okay.
It's in system properties.
System properties. Okay, we can do one thing. You can take this one as an homework and come back to me with an answer. If you don't get the answer also, no problem, because we have a session called as an JVM performance tuning, wherein which we'll be talking about that. Okay, but coming back to our topic, okay, all as in deployments. What is this deployment? How do we do the deployment? Okay, what is the concept of deployment, etc. We'll be discussing now. So if you see the concept of deployment, okay, deployment is nothing but how we can define the term deployment. Deployment is nothing but it's a process of sharing of Java J2EE code with the JBoss application server to process it. Clear? What is meant by deployment? Deployment is nothing but it's a process. It's a process of sharing of your Java J2EE code with the JBoss application server to process it. That particular concept is nothing but deployment. So as part of the deployment, what we try to do is that, okay, whatever the code we have developed, okay, we give it to the JBoss application server. We, in the sense developer will be writing some code using the Java J2EE platform. Once he has written the code using the Java J2EE platform, okay, we keep it or we deploy it inside the JBoss to process it. Okay, this complete cycle of packaging the code, putting it into the JBoss application server to process it, we call it as a deployment. Anyone, any questions?
No.
So if you see the deployment inside the JBoss application server, I can do the deployments in multiple ways. First one is by using the admin console. Second one is by using the deployments folder. I'm trying to talk with reference to standalone mode. Mark my words. The third one, the same concepts again, I'll be repeating it in the domain mode, but at that time I prefer to run a little bit faster. So something is not clear, something is not clarified, please do let me right away. Okay, the third one is by CLI. The fourth one is by using the fifth one is by using the custom scripts. Clear? If I want to do the deployment in the JBoss application server, I can do it in multiple ways. First one is by using the GUI tool called as an admin console. I log into the standalone admin console, click on the deployment, I say add, and I'll be doing the deployment. In case of a deployments folder, okay, whatever the var or er file is there, the moment your standalone instance is available up and running, I copy it in the var or er file into the deployment folder, the deployment would be completed. The third one is by using the CLI, command line interaction tool. Okay, how do we do it? We'll talk it. We have dedicated sessions, 2 to 3 sessions are there on how do we use a CLI. At that time, I'll explain you how do we do that. But the method is a deploy method.
Least secure, right? CLI is.
No, who said
that is different. That is a different one, and this is different one. JBoss CLI.
JBoss CLI is this one only.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday you have told.
Unsecured interface. I told it as an unsecured interface of the CLI. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's not secured. It's unsecured. Okay, I'll talk that. I'll talk about while I talk about the CLI. Okay. The fifth one is your custom scripts. Okay, wherein which your company, okay, will write some shell scripts. Okay, some deploy scripts. Okay, using that you indirectly go and hit the deployments folder or the admin console and you do the deployment. Those are nothing but the custom scripts. In our training, we'll not talk about this. We'll only talk about these three. Okay, out of these three also, this one I'll not talk right now. These are the two things I'll be talking right now. Clear? Anyone, any questions?
Okay. What is for example, what is a programmatic approach? You write
a Java program. Every application server, if you see here, be it WebLogic or be it WebSphere, it has something called as an management beans, JMX API. So using that, you can write a programmatic way of doing the deployment. This is a theoretical scenario. No one, at least nowhere I've seen anyone using a Java program to deploy another Java application. Very complex.
Okay.
Clear? Yep. Anyone, any more questions? I have a question from Satish. Yeah, Satish, it's like Eclipse. Anyone, any questions? Manju, Krishna, Satish, Venu?
No.
No.
So we know what is meant by deployment. We know the different ways in which we can do the deployment. As I said, deployment is nothing but it's a process of sharing the code. Give me a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you see the deployment, okay. So as I said, deployment is nothing but it's a process of sharing of your Java J2W code. I've got my Java J2W code, okay. My Java J2W code, I'll be sharing it. Whatever the developer has given it to me, I'll be sharing it to the JBoss. How we can do that? Okay. I can't ask my JBoss to say that, hey, I'm staying in Manikonda, please come to High Tech City and take it. I can't say that. Or either I can't say that I've kept it in the OPT folder, you're there in the USR folder, come and take it. Okay, I can't even say that what I did is that I copied all the files in a pen drive, or I copied all the files in a zip format, please take it. I can't say that. Why? JBoss application server says that whatever the files you are trying to share it to me, it should be in a proper supported format. Clear? The different formats that are supported by the JBoss application server to do the deployment are jar, var, EAR. Okay? These are the three formats that are supported. Anyone knows about these three formats? I think ER is not supported, I think right now. Let me take it back. Anyone knows about the var or jar formats? What is meant by var? What is meant by jar? When we use a jar format, when we use an ER format, sorry, var format.
The ER will contain jar and var.
Perfect, awesome. What is a var and jar then? Cool. Var is nothing but it's a packaging format you'll be using to package your servlets and JSP. Whenever you want to package your servlets and JSP, in those scenarios, we'll be using a var format. Okay. Whenever you got your simple Pojo classes, whenever you got your EGBs, okay, in all the scenarios, we'll be using a jar format. Your JBoss application server supports the packaging of the application either in a jar or a var format.
Var format.
Clear?
Yeah.
So what we know now? We know what is meant by deployment. We know how we can do the deployment. We also know how we can package the deployment. What is the next step we have to do? We have to deploy the application. How do we do the deployment of the application? Both from the GUI, from the deployments folder, we'll discuss tomorrow. Clear? Mostly 99.9% will be able to complete the deployments tomorrow. Once we are done talking about the deployments, I would like to discuss about the subsystem terminology. Very important and very critical. Clear? Anyone, any questions before I start?
No.
Stop.
Sorry, stop, my bad. A little weak in my terminology. Good. So since you're all having no questions, let me pause here for today. Tomorrow when we resume back, we'll try to do the lab related to the deployment. And if possible, we'll try to complete the subsystem concepts also tomorrow. And if we can complete the subsystems also tomorrow, I'm planning to start a data source. Okay? Anything and everything that is not clear, not comfortable, please feel comfortable, drop me an email. Okay? And Manju, I'll share you the software in another 15 to 20 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
And the material also.
Material, I'll be sharing it to you end of the day.
Okay, fine.
Good? Because the request from Manju is pending a little bit from long time. So
it's okay.
Yeah. So I'll be sending it right away. Once I'm done, I have to jump into my office. So once I jump into my office, I'll share it to you by end of the day. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Great, guys. All the best. Good night and good day. We'll resume back tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.